Niladrikandaranandi Mandara Layabanditam Bande Bandaru Mandaram Indira Mandiram Maha Indira Mandiram Maha. Jai Jagannath. Good evening, good morning, and a warm welcome to the 7th edition of Odisha Art and Literature Festival 2022, organized by Dholi Review Trust. Indeed, it is an initiative to welcome winter and celebrate the glory of our art and literature, which have redefined our approach to life. It's an annual event, as everybody knows, that witnesses a confluence of poetry, fiction, plays, music, dance, and deliberations on all these aspects. And the congregation of these marks or witnesses the participation of the connoisseurs of art and literature, and everything adds lustre to this glorious event. In the 3-day-long festival, we have as many as 23 sessions wherein eminent art and literary luminaries from India and abroad will be participating. And this morning, in this inaugural session, we are very much honored, we are very much elated to have in our midst esteemed David Davida. As everybody knows, he is one of the renowned writers in the domain of art and literature, a novelist and storyteller par excellence. David Davida is the co-founder of Aleph Book Company, and as we know, in 1985, he started the Penguin publication in India, which has carved an enviable niche in the domain of publications. His gracious presence has added lustre to this program, and we are very much honored to have him in our midst. And also we have esteemed Dr. Satya Mohanty, a former officer of the Indian Administrative Service. Dr. Mohanty was the Union Education Secretary and Secretary General in the National Human Rights Commission, and the author of the popular Odia book, Aina Micho Kuhena, The Mirror Does Not Lie, and 2 books of poems in English. Dr. Mohanty is also a novelist, a story writer, a playwright, and also he has carved a niche for himself in the domain of art and literature. And I take the privilege to invite on stage Sri Manu Dash, who is a bilingual poet, an author, a translator, an editor, a publisher, and a curator of Odisha Art and Literature Festival. And behind this Art and Literature Festival, he stands grand with your great support. And he joined Anam Poetry Movement in 1974 with more than 30 books published in English and Odia. He has carved a niche for himself in the domain of art and literature, and I take the privilege to request all the dignitaries to be present on the dais with a big round of applause. We welcome them, the 3 dignitaries, the 3 luminaries, to be seated over here in this inaugural session. So it's a moment that marks the 7th edition of Odisha Art and Literature Festival 2022, and is in this inaugural session. We are having esteemed David Davida, esteemed Dr. Satya Mohanty, and Sri Manu Dash. As we know, every auspicious occasion commences with the lighting of the ceremonial lamp, and this session, this inaugural session, is not an exception. I take the privilege to request our esteemed dignitaries to light the ceremonial lamp and mark the commencement of this Art and Literature Festival. We are extremely thankful to the dignitaries in this inaugural session for lighting the ceremonial lamp that marks the commencement of this Art and Literature Festival, and I take the privilege to welcome them by offering flower bouquet. In a traditional note, we offer the flower bouquet as a token of love and appreciation to the gracious presence of the dignitaries, and in a very floral welcome, we greet our eminent dignitaries in this inaugural session. As the adage goes, the wearer knows where the shoe pinches. Indeed, a man with a very committed effort, with indefatigable industry, who has organized this Art and Literature Festival consecutively for 7 years, is none other than Sri Manu Dash. As a bilingual poet, as an author, as a translator, as an editor, he has carved a niche for himself in the domain of art and literature, and particularly his experience in life has made him organize such a great festival, such a great confluence of art and literature. And you know, much labor has gone into the making, into the organizing of this Art and Literature Festival, and that is what Sri Manu Dash can share with us. So I take the privilege to request Sri Manu Dash to present the welcome address along with how much labor has gone into the organizing of such a grand festival. He will share with us. So welcoming Sri Manu Dash.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. Good morning and greetings to all the dignitaries on the dais, of the dais, poets arrived here from the various parts of the world, and Indian poets and Odia poets and authors. I greet you all with a warm heart to this 7th Odisha Art and Literature Festival 2022. We started this festival in the year 2016 first, and now this is the second time in 2022 we had this festival because of the pandemic situation for 2 years. Last year we failed to organize, and we all suffer for that cruelty of the time. Organizing the things, sometimes you have to take a lot of pain, but pleasure is always also be upon us while doing all these things. I am welcome first to our the great publisher, whom you will never see. His reluctant appearance is very much evident in India. You will never find in any public meeting mostly to David Saab, though I had the opportunity of listening to him once in Jaipur Literature Festival almost a decade ago. The man is so tall that it is very difficult to describe, because the person who brought revolution in Indian publishing industry. When David Saab started Indian publishing Penguin India, there was also publishing house, but he raised the level to so high that now we feel proud of Indian literature. आज आप जो Indian literature देख रहे हैं English में around the globe, and Indian को जो मुकाम में पहुंचाना है, that is what he has done, and all the credit goes to him. Let us give a big hand, big applause for his success. we are grateful. I had never thought that I could be able to bring him to Bhubaneswar. My advisor, Dr. Satya Mohanty, who has stood like a rock before me, has once told that Manu, you have to try many things and you have to exert yourself. Trying is not bad. Some or other, here, one respectable lady is here called Rachna Singh. She is wife of David Saab. We are Facebook friends. So I attempted with the apprehension that I will not get a positive response. But harja kya hai? Unfortunately or fortunately, she saw my message after a week and she told that you can write to David directly. I am happy after 7 years of organizing this. If David sir could come to Odisha first time for our festival, I am not going to introduce you because already Mr. Roth has given me a beautiful introduction of David sir and about Dr. Satya Mohanty. I do not want to stand between them. Now, let the work continue. And आप लोग आए, purpose is, the festival का क्या purpose है, मैं ज़्यादा बताना नहीं चाहता हूँ. कल ही मिस्टर रवि सिंह एंड डेविड साहब दोनों का इंटरव्यू निकला है उड़ीसा में, ओडिशा बाइट में और ओडिशा पोस्ट में, आपको देख सकते हैं. बट रोल फेस्टिवल्स, लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल्स प्ले इन इंडिया फॉर द प्रमोशन ऑफ लिटरेचर एंड राइटर्स. थैंक यू ऑल. बाय सेइंग दिस आई टेक लीव.
We are extremely thankful to Sri Manu Dash for taking a lot of pain in organizing this Art and Literature Festival for consecutively for 7 years, and also he has invited so many connoisseurs of art and literature who will be the stakeholders in different sessions, and we are very much honored to have the guidance and presence of Dr. Satya Mohanty. As it is said, he has been a very guiding force who has stood like a rock with Sri Manu Das, and because of his guidance we are able to organize such a grand festival in a very grand note. And as we know, Dr. Satya Mohanty has left a mark as an administrative official, and he had brought about enough reforms in different administration of the country. But as a man of literature, as a literati, as a literature par excellence, he has indeed left an indelible imprint in the hearts and minds of innumerable reading public. And particularly his writings, his poetry, his fiction, as a playwright also, he has re-enkindled the spirit to write, and particularly he is a guiding force to the youth mass, and we are very much honored to have him in our midst. And always, whenever we have sought his help, he has just dedicated himself for our disposal, and his guidance and his kind presence have indeed inspired all of us. So may I request Dr. Satya Mohanty, esteemed advisor of this Art and Literature Festival, to address the congregation.
Mr. David Davider, Mr. Manu Dash, and friends. This is the 7th year. I must congratulate Manu Babu that he has survived the 7-year age of marriage with this festival. As an advisor, my role is a very strange role. There is a keynote address. That is the most important thing to look forward to. But I have to speak, and my speech should be brief enough to cover some part of literature, and at the same time, I should not be going long on my speech. So sometimes I think I should wear a Scottish kilt to this festival next year, which is honorable enough but not long enough. The Manu Babu, who is like a sutradhar, he directed me to touch upon role of authors during the dark times, because you have just emerged from dark time of 2.5 years, and we internationally we have problems all around. There are wars, there are climate change, everything. So I will try to be brief. My speech will not be longer than 5 minutes. Okay. Now, have you heard of instances where some people get extra power in one eye when the other one is spoiled? Someone getting more sensory power in one organ when the another sense is compromised. This is how the nature works. This is how the human body works. This is how the body of the society works. When time is out of joint and the sentinels fail, this role of sentinel is foisted on the authors to galvanize and to stir the society. People may be happy in their complacence, but the role is foisted. We also think that writers will solve problems, like the little story from Oedipus Rex, when the Sphinx asked the question to Oedipus, King Oedipus. It was a riddle. To the riddle, what is that which walks with four legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening? King Oedipus answered, the man, and the Sphinx just destroyed itself. We think the dark time will destroy itself when the authors step in, but that life doesn't work that way. But they have a role. Everyone has got a superpower without knowing it, a role they play in respective communities. For writers, the superpower is in writing, with words. Authors have the power to influence change in the people's lives and driving the emotions through writing. Writing can inspire and demotivate too. So there's an immense responsibility for steering narratives. Words can be used to uplift, inspire, and educate. How you string your words can influence change and shape the views. Writers are not marginal to the society. They do all the thinking for the society often, particularly during the dark times. They inform and shape life apart from interpreting life. We have different problems, and one story which we'll be discussing, a case of Indian marble. One story by a Kashmiri writer, Wani. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing the title correctly, Gobaya or something, which means a jinn, a spirit which puts you down and depresses you. And the last, that is a very beautifully written story. The charm that the old woman put in a little child's fist when uncleansed at some point to reveal what the child has just learned, Ajadi. What a beautiful way and what a ambivalent way to capture the emotion. That is what writers are capable. A quaint little story I read somewhere. an elderly, wise and a blind woman was asked a question by some mischievous boys who was carrying a bird with their kid. The young ones asked her, "What do you carry?" The lady thought hard, took long, and said, "What do you want to know?" He said, "We want to know what we are carrying is alive or dead." The lady took her time and said, "I do not know what you are carrying, whether it is dead or alive, but I know it is in your hand." By saying this, the lady meant, if the bird is dead, it has been killed. If the bird is alive, it can be killed or kept alive. It is the choice and the responsibility of the person holding it. Authors have the choice and the responsibility. So, Bollywood is something which we tend to dismiss, but Bollywood also uses the poems and the writing of some of the great authors and poets of India, particularly in the regional languages. So when Sahil Lujanvi wrote, "ये सुबह कभी तो आएगी," इस काली सदियत को सर से जब रात का आंचल ढलकेगा, जब धरती नमी गाएगी, he was making that choice and taking that responsibility. I wish the festival all the success and look forward to participating in the next 3 days, and also hope that all of you will enjoy. And more importantly, now let us listen to Mr. Davidas. Thank you.
We may call it the keynote address or the advisory note, but Dr. Satya Mohanty's address has always inspired one and all. We are extremely grateful to you, sir. And before we go into relation to Sri Davidarji, I would like to request Manu Dash once again to kindly make an announcement.
Friends, I have to tell you something which is very hard. I have to tell that our program was scheduled that very popular and acclaimed writer Namita Gokhale had to come and be with us, but yesterday she spoke me about her family's problem. She is having some serious problem for which she could not make it. In spite of that, so she has written a very emotional letter. I have also displayed that letter for our friends here, and in fact we have also translated her latest novel, which has got the Sahitya Academy Award, Things to Leave Behind, which has been made Odia by one of the finest translators, Chirasri Singh, and we feel very helpless when she could not come. That is what I just wanted to tell. Anyhow, we will carry on our program as scheduled. Thank you.
When expression fails through language, we search for an exact emotional equivalence in the realms of objective correlative. But we have no such objective correlative to give adequacy to our feelings, since we have been overwhelmed with emotion, and to give you a profile of esteemed David Davidarji. I remember William Shakespeare, the myriad-minded man of Renasha, one of the great dramatists of all time. Shakespeare's Hamlet, Prince Hamlet, introducing his father to Horatio tells, he was a man, take him for all in all, we may not look upon his like a game. With Horatio, rather I should speak. With Hamlet, rather I should speak. Esteemed David Davidarji, take him for all in all, we may not look upon his like again. As a great writer, as a writer par excellence, as a man giving a new dimension to publications, redefining publishings in India, he stands grand and he stands unparalleled. May I request you, sir, to kindly address the congregation.
It's an honor to be here in Bhubaneswar, in the state that gave rise to some of our greatest writers like Satya Mohanty, Satya Mohanty, and many others. It's a true privilege to be amongst you. I didn't come prepared to make a speech. So what I'm going to do is thank the organizers for this amazing event and for being part of it and for honoring me so greatly. What I would do rather than make a speech is read out a short story I wrote recently for American Pen. This was shortly before Salman Rushdie was brutally attacked on a university campus. So we wrote, a number of us were invited to write stories for the 75th year of India's independence, and this was the story I wrote for it, so I would like to read it out. The story is called The Murmurous Dead, a very brief exchange with the spirit. Not so long ago, after a fall, I was laid up in bed. As a result of bruised ribs and stitches in my jaw, sleep was often elusive. One restless night, in the pre-dawn hours, just as grey began filtering through the kachnar trees outside my bedroom window, I had an unexpected visitor. My visitor had neither form nor substance, but was simply a consciousness outside my home. Its voice was nevertheless clear and unmistakable. Sir, my visitor began respectfully, I have a question for you. Who are you, I asked. The voice belonged to the spirit of a 14-year-old girl who had died in a communal riot in a small town a few years ago. And what is this question you have for me, I asked. Why, she asked, are there no memorials for us? Rightfully, there are memorials to the brave men and women who gave their lives protecting our country. Their sacrifice should never be forgotten. But how come there are no memorials for us, all of us innocents whom the country failed to protect? Nonplussed, I did not reply immediately, and she spoke up again. There are hundreds of thousands of us who have paid with our lives in this glorious nation of ours because of the acts of commission or omission of our leaders. The least we deserve are memorials, so we will be remembered. But surely, I said weakly, there must be plaques or memorial stones. She interrupted me. Private markers by our families and those who mourn don't count. We died because the state did not look out for us, so it's the state which should erect memorials for us. She had piqued my interest, so I said, and what form should these memorials take? She said, the form doesn't really matter. Though I'd love it if my memorial were to be a garden or even just a flowering tree in a prominent place in the town where I was killed, an amaltas or a gulmohar or a jacaranda. Just imagine if all of us were honored thus, our ugly cities and towns would be transformed into paradisiacal places of shimmering green and yellow and red and violet. I was momentarily lost in the vision she had conjured up until she spoke again. No matter what form each memorial takes, every single one of them has to have an essential component. And what is that, I said? Each of them must have a plaque listing the names of the leaders who failed us, those who were responsible for our deaths. Our leaders love to put their faces on sorts of billboards and posters that are prominently displayed in public places, so their portrait should be engraved on these plaques for all eternity. That way, the part they played in our deaths will never be forgotten. And with that, she was gone, as abruptly as she had appeared, just as the morning light came flooding into the room. Thank you. Rightly, Manu Dash has said that it is very difficult to describe and to give his profile before you. Esteemed David Davidarji, he is too colossus to be expressed in words. Indeed, we are very much delighted to listen to you, sir. And indeed, it's a great moment to have you in our midst and to listen to your encouraging address through the narration of your story. Thank you, sir. Now I take the privilege to request the dignitaries and the dais to release a few books. And the first one is Rag Pahadi. Rag Pahadi. It is to be released by our esteemed guests of this inaugural session by Namita Gokhale. Rag Pahadi is by Namita Gokhale. And we were expecting Namita Gokhale, but she could not be. But she has sent her goodwill message to make this event a successful one. Rag Pahadi by Namita Gokhale is being released by our esteemed guest. Chirasri Indra Singh, the eminent poet from Odisha. I think she is not with us, but we also she is the translator. Chirasri Indra Singh and Rag Pahadi is being released by our esteemed guests.
So after that, the next one is breathless. The next one is breathless. This breathless is by our advisor, Dr. Satya Mohanty. 3 plays. It contains 3 plays. And one of the plays will be enacted. As you know, Breathless is being released by our esteemed guest. And we would like to request all of you to please put your hands together for Satya Mohanty. So as a playwright, Dr. Satya Mohanty has left a mark, and this Breathless containing 3 plays of Dr. Satya Mohanty has been released.
Friends, this is the first plays written in English by Odia playwright Satya Mohanty. This has become a history. In Odisha, there are so many plays have been translated into the English, but not directly from in English in the past. And the only books is the proud publisher of this book. And after this over, I will request Mr. Mohanty ji थोड़ा 2 मिनट भी बताएंगे इनके बारे में. मैं उसको सीक्रेट रखता हूँ being the publisher. I know what is the duty of these plays.
So now we move on to witness the release of another book, The Biography of Anger. The Biography of Anger. Anger, as we know, is a vice, but its biography is written. The Biography of Anger. It's a unique book that will be released by our esteemed guests. There are so many translators, and we would like to invite on stage. If the translators of the Biography of Anger is there, we would like to be on the stage.
Mr. Manu Dash, Madam Jena, is anybody there? Mr. Manu Dash is there. Please come. You have been already earlier informed. And anybody who has translated may kindly come to the dais.
The biography of Panga. The biography of Panga is a collection of some writer, and it is translated by so many people. One of the translators is with us, and we also welcome you, Shah. And the next one is Tongue of the Future. Tongue of the Future. That is the last book to be released in this inaugural session.
Tongue of the Future is an anthology of poems by foreign authors and Indian authors. I request all authors who have contributed for this book are available, those who are available here, like Amir, Mr. Marwan, Mr. Abdullah, Mr. Kira book, and anybody. All of them are requested, including Hemant Dibate of Maharashtra. He is a very promising author. May kindly come to the dais. I request Mr. Amir or Ani Anmor Ni Bhuven Diti Ronen, Mr. Hassan Abdullah, Mr. Hemant Devate, where are you? Hemant is not sleeping still now. Kira Wook, Maron Makol, Mariam.
Aku anu bhai, kamu ko kitna काम
बस
So in the gracious presence of all the contributors, all the renowned poets across India, across the globe, we welcome everyone, along with the guests of the inaugural session, Tongue of the Future. These poets have contributed to the volume Tongue of the Future, which is being released by our esteemed guests.
Okay, central में दिला कोई बोल हाँ वो भाई हाँ बाकी दीजिए हाँ all should come. Everybody, sir, sit up. Sir, make a kind of half circle so that everybody can be listening in the frame. Please, this side of it, sir, this side. Everybody should come. हाँ नहीं नहीं वाले पोजीशन रही हो समस्त मिल रहा है तुम आउट पोजीशन पे आउट पोजीशन बैठी
As we are witnessing this whole event, this is possible for that financial support of some sponsors. So right now, I would like to thanks to the sponsors, those ample support make out to be more profound this event. An associate sponsor, Indian Oil, and on the same time supported by SAIL and NALCO, Union Bank of India, and OHPC. So thank you once again to all the sponsors for making it more clear reasons about